ever lived with a deep sense of shame at your very core that you can't quite explain, then this video is for you. I wanted to explain to you how you can sort of unpick those feelings of shame as to where they come from, also the cost that it's costing you of how it's affecting your life, because it certainly affected mine, and I wanted to help people by going through my own story so that you get a better understanding, maybe from a different perspective. So how does shame affect your life? Now, from my own experiences, shame has affected my life massively, and it's felt like it's not even my shame to carry, but ultimately it's something that I feel, or have felt rather, at my very core for a very long time and a large portion of my life. It affected my relationships, how I interacted with people, because I would feel not worthy. I would have a very low sense of self-worth because of that deep level of shame that wasn't even mine. I would tend to people please quite a lot because I wanted people to like me. Didn't want to feel even more of that shame by somebody not liking me, then I would try and please them. But ultimately what would end up happening is you're not actually being yourself, because you're trying to almost morph into these certain characters that fit in with other people. It led me to feel as if I didn't fit in, I didn't belong anywhere, no matter whether it was a work environment or a friendship or a relationship, a romantic environment, whatever that environment was, I didn't feel like I fit in. So it affects so many different areas of your life, which is why when you actually lift that sense of shame and almost take off the layer, it opens up your life in so many different ways that really helps you, which is why I'm making this video today. When I went to Bali after my heart operation, I remember a lady, a healer, saying to me that I had a silver thread that was attached to my mum and that I needed to almost release that thread. And at the time I didn't understand what she was talking about. However, I had a sense at the time there was a truth in what she was saying. Don't ask me why, intuition, whatever it was, there was a knowing inside me that the information that she was passing to me, there was truth in that. So I started to explore that. And more recently, I've started to explore it even more, just to find out where that shame comes from. Is it mine? You know, is it not mine? Does it come from my parents? Does it go beyond my parents? Has that line of shame sort of run through the family at some point down towards me? So I started to investigate my family line and started to investigate both sides, mainly my father's line. I always thought that it came from my mother's line because I knew of certain situations within that family. However, I had very little information about my father's line until recently. And looking into the patterns that were passed down through generations, you can start to see what's coming in. Wherever there's a pattern, there's something to uncover beneath that pattern. There's a reason behind that pattern, and it's usually that something is unresolved, something hasn't been healed. And this is kind of what that lady was saying to me in Bali. She said to me, heal yourself, Michelle, and you heal your mother. Heal yourself and you heal your daughter. And again, at the time I thought, what's she going on about? But now I understand exactly what she meant. So as I started to explore my family line through my father's line, I saw a pattern of not only abandonment, shame, guilt, those sorts of feelings that my relatives, my ancestors had experienced through information that I found out, but also a pattern with ages. And where there's a pattern, as I said, then there's something to uncover. So I started to explore that a little bit more. And in exploring the family history, I started to gain understanding of their struggles, understanding of exactly what they went through, the hardships they had, the secrecy behind those hardships because of the shame. And through uncovering that, it actually led me to have compassion for my ancestors. Whereas previously I may have been sort of trying to disassociate myself with that side or with actions that some of my ancestors had made, then I started to have empathy and compassion for them and their situations. And when you start to acknowledge, first of all, what has happened in their lives and in my own life, you can start to have a better understanding. And with a better understanding and with compassion and with empathy comes the healing. And this is what the lady in Bali meant. This is exactly what she meant, that my healing with acknowledging my ancestors' pain, my ancestors' experiences, by having an understanding of that, and by going through certain sequences to heal that connection, then I heal the next generations too. And that pattern then stops with me and doesn't then continue to my children and to their children and to their children and continue on the line. So I just wanted to explain how that's helped me, because I know there's a shift just by my own actions, my own thought processes and my own behaviour. So for example, usually if I would have divulged certain information to somebody that was very, very personal, and if they hadn't answered a phone call afterwards or not contacted me afterwards, my initial thought would have been, oh, okay, they don't want to know me now. All right, okay. Because I stayed small with that shame. With that shame, I always thought that people were judging me. And with that thought process came, okay, I'll just cut myself off then, because they don't want to know me anymore. Whereas recently, when that's happened, after I've done all of this exploration work and also all of this healing work on my ancestral line, then when that happened, my initial thought wasn't about the other person not wanting to know me anymore. It was more about concern for the person. Oh, I hope they're okay, and I best check in with them again. Whereas previously I absolutely wouldn't have done that. And so my interactions with people are very different just from this simple process. Go beyond scratching the surface, because we have different minds. We have our conscious mind, which we're in right now. We have our subconscious mind, which sort of is our program that stored all of the programming from when we were younger. But we also have our unconscious mind and our superconscious mind. So we want to work with all of these to really dig deep and to find the root of what's actually happening underneath to create this change above. You know, when I was younger, and even not that long ago, I wanted to disassociate from my family. So if you think about it, what that was doing was, if you think of the root and then the trunk and the branches, I was just trying to cut off a branch and then carry on as if nothing's happened. And as long as my actions were different to theirs, then it wouldn't be passed down to my children. But actually that's not the case. There's a much stronger energetic link to our families than we actually realize. And call that quantum entanglement if you understand anything about that. But it's there, it exists, it's not tangible, but it is something that we then relive throughout our lives and then naturally pass down to our children through epigenetics. So you want to get to the root of what is actually happening in the root so that you can then heal that. And then with that healing of a good soil, if you like, that's going to create healing throughout the whole tree, not just the root. Delve a little bit deeper and strip back the layers of negative cycles and patterns that are happening in your life. If you start to notice maybe people that you draw in that are very similar, relationships, success, I mean, all of these things are actually linked. Think about them as the branches of a tree. And when you deal with the root, then all of those branches benefit.